I'm just going to let everybody know we're hanging out. Very candid. So I've been asked to interview, even though I just asked them to make some statements. But this is now attorney Kristin Terison, a.k.a. DJ KTF, and his wonderful super fiance, attorney extraordinary, partner-in-law, Miss. Do you want me to give me your last name as well?
Beverly.
Miss Beverly. So we're at the law offices of Beverly and Terison.
That's correct.
Did I get that correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. So Alzheimer's sometimes slips in. I guess today is not one of those days. So Kristin, aka DJ KTF, used to be the DJ instructor at Hallah Edutainment, Maine. And hopefully still will fill in every once in a while when he gets a chance and does his thing. But he's got bigger and greater things moving forward, helping to save the people which need, or helping people to save themselves from a really cumbersome system of justice that we have here.
It's true. It's true.
But now, Kristin, tell me about this DJing thing. How did you become like an attorney from DJing? Like, was you like scratching Public Enemy, and all of a sudden it was like, oh snap?
It's really strange. I started DJing. I was a drummer at first, and I started DJing because my living situation was I couldn't have a drum set. I couldn't keep banging on the drums. Everybody was complaining, things like that. So I turned to turntables. And, I always loved music, and sort of from there, I tried some like club DJing. I was out in LA for a little bit, and I really quickly realized that life, the hotel rooms and the, not staying in one place for very long, it wasn't the way I wanted to live my life. I like my friends, I like my family. And so I was trying to think of ways I could incorporate both my music and the art that I love, but also have the kind of lifestyle that I wanted as a human being. And so I settled on law because it's like with a legal education you can do so many different things. I've helped artists negotiate contracts. I've helped production companies, incorporate people who really, love music and have the speakers and have the lights and they want to produce some shows, help them organize their businesses, to helping asylum seekers, people who are fleeing some of the terrible situations in other parts of the world, coming here to the United States. They have, no money, they don't speak English, and it may come as a surprise to you, but our country is very hostile to those people, those most vulnerable people who are coming here because they can't live where they're at. And so, sort of, I needed the depth of change and the power that came from my legal education to be the kind of person I wanted to be, to make those big changes in the world that I wanted to see. But then on the other side of that is the artistic elements, the creativity and the music, and that's what sort of balances me out and keeps me sane. A lot of people, they kind of look at me funny when I say, oh yeah, I'm a lawyer and a nightclub DJ, or human rights attorney and producer, things like that. And people see that as two incompatible pursuits. But in all honesty, I couldn't do just one of those things. I couldn't do one without the other because I wouldn't be a well-rounded human being. I'd feel off balance.
It's funny. So all of our programs and curriculums have been rooted in hip hop pedagogy, and you basically just personified what that is. But I want to help people clarify. Tell me what about DJing helped influence you to pursue the law track when you thought about you wanted a career just to sort of like chill your bones. Did hip hop help influence your direction towards law? I mean, why not engineering?
Why not? Because I'm bad at math. I would have loved engineering because then I could design my own DJ mixer. You understand?
Right.
But what I learned is it's funny because I grew up in Maine in a very homogenous culture, and then there was one year where my family moved down to Washington D.C. and all of a sudden there was this explosion of different cultures, different kinds of food, different kinds of music, all these other things that I hadn't been exposed to before, and I guess the rhythm of hip hop and the prominence of rhythm and syncopation in hip hop music, and then the color and variety and the freedom of self-expression that I found in hip hop. It's undeniable. It's great. I loved it from the first. It was actually Dr. Dre's The Chronic. It was the first hip hop album I think I heard. It was 10 years old, I think, and but then when sort of thinking about the next step in my life, the influence of hip hop on my choice to be an attorney
Or did it have any choice?
Well, it would probably come from some of those, the more conscious artists or more political artists, Immortal Technique, Public Enemy, of course. Those artists who were KRS-One, those artists who were operating in a political and philosophical sphere, encouraging their listeners to look at the world with a critical eye, and I saw, I guess, the practice of law is a continuation of a lot of what Public Enemy is rapping about. This is a really weird thing to say, but if you wanna take a Chuck D song and go out and hammer the world with it, get a law degree, get admitted to the bar, because then you have the power to fight the power. You have those credentials to go into the system and change it.
So, one of the questions I find is that you, and I want you to elaborate quickly on, if possible, is you mentioned your introduction to hip hop was through Dre's The Chronic, but I know that you give homage to the elders and the originators, because one of the things I used to love when you taught class was to bring in your cartridge that a certain DJ gave
Grand
you.
Wizard Theodore.
So let's talk about that a little bit. How did that happen?
Oh, that was just a natural progression of my love of the music, because my ear was first caught by that one commercial hit album. 10-year-old kid, I'm not digging in the crates or anything like that. And as I I think I was 14 when one of my friends had a pair of turntables in his house, and I started sort of experimenting around and messing around with this music and creating my own sounds, trying to mimic the sounds of other DJs and stuff that I'd heard. And I don't know how exactly it happened, but I became real sensitive to the history of hip hop culture, because I'm a white guy living in Maine. Hip hop culture did not start as my culture. It started as South Bronx, the South Bronx, this group of disenfranchised people who had nothing, who used the tools they had, the building blocks around them, to build an incredible art form that the world had never seen before. That and I couldn't be somebody who stole that. I had to be somebody who was a custodian of that culture, who was a historian of that culture, to respect those early artists and their experiences and their creativity, stuff that I can't pretend to know at all, but that as somebody who just loves that music and is drawn to that music, I was venerated. They created this thing that I love. And so to show that appreciation and that affection, and to know how I, as an individual, fit into hip hop culture. Because on the one hand, there's the historian, the caretaker role. That comes a lot with being a DJ, digging in the crates. You're looking through people's past work, past creativity, past efforts. And, but then also not letting that be the end. Not just making hip hop a dusty thing on a shelf that's been defined, but also taking what's come before and unabashedly standing on the shoulders of giants and making your own innovations and contributions, which, instead of an appropriation, like pretending you came up with it, pretending you did it, being like, no, I'm standing on the shoulders of a giant and I'm going to try and reach that little bit higher, and I hope that somebody stands on my shoulders and gets a little bit higher after that. And that's one of the things that I loved about the Hallah Edutainment program is that I can play so many nightclubs or whatever, and you have your audience for a night, and then they're gone. You don't know what your impact was. You get your little $100 or whatever it is, your drink tickets, and that's the end of it. Whereas with the Hallah Edutainment program, it gave me a chance as a DJ to reach out on a more consistent basis, and with the express purpose of trying to give a leg up to the next generation, because obviously I'm not an artist like a KRS-One or Cool Herc, who's going to influence millions, untold millions in my wake. I'm working on a smaller scale, and any contribution I can make to a classroom full of young people and just kind of open their ears a little bit, be a little critical of what they're hearing on the radio. Where did that break beat come from? To take a current event, did Robin Thicke and Pharrell steal from Marvin Gaye? You got to know the Marvin Gaye song, and so just planting that historical perspective and that critical perspective, watching it accelerate the growth of students as artists and as creators, was important and significant to me.
So do you think you had an influence on the students, and what kind of influence do you think they had on you?
Well, it's funny because I'm always err on the side of humility. I wouldn't have said that I had a huge influence on the students, but then I was reading an email from somebody. This was probably 7 years ago. They were in our class in high school, and he named me by name and said, "Oh, how I'd always go off on these tangents about the history of a different breakbeat, or the history of a different artist, or what some obscure rap references or something like that." And the influencing, it just happened in the course of the discussion, of the dialogue. And then the students, as far as they influence me, they sort of hold up a mirror, and I get to look at myself very critically and what I think is important to pass on to that next generation of creators, and what in my own experience as a DJ and as a producer I valued, and just sort of putting into contrast my own decisions and my own choices in life and my own sort of artistic predilections and things like that. That was the students' big influence on me.
So one thing I do know is I really can't remember how we first met, but I know from the very beginning we just clicked.
Yeah, I remember how we first met.
How we first met.
Okay, so there was this weird little clothing store in the corner of Washington Avenue.
I remember the hip hop graffiti.
The block. And you came into the Block Studios one day, and I was in there helping them produce a thing, record something. And you came in and you had a bag full of flyers for a KRS-One show. And I was, surprised. KRS-One in Portland, Maine? Who is this guy? I'd never seen you before, but if you're bringing KRS-One to Portland, sign me up. And you kind of were looking around, you're like, do you guys know any DJs? You got a DJ up here? I don't know any DJs in Portland. And I kind of looked at him like, I'm a DJ, you need a DJ? And you're like, yeah, come on through. I think it was Curtis Blow,
Yeah.
KRS-One. Those were the first couple of shows that we got involved together. And yeah, just built from there.
Now that you say, I remember that.
It was weird.
Because you actually DJ'd.
Yep.
Chris called you up on stage to DJ for him. He had his own DJ, and he was listening to you, and literally was like,
that was probably one of that was the highlight of my career as a hip hop DJ, was getting up there, cutting with KRS-One, and having him just, you know, on the microphone pointing, being like, this is real hip hop. And I'm going, here's KRS-One, you know? This person I've pretty much idolized forever, you know, and he's pointing at me going, this is real hip hop. That was a once in a lifetime type of experience. That was nuts. So thank you for that, Hashim.
No, thanks to hip hop gods, because that's hip hop. So now I'm going to do something weird on an interview.
All right.
I'm passing you the phone to point at me.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go, everybody.
So here's hip hop, and it's something that Kristin didn't really articulate with everybody, but notice we never talked about, he kept saying he's from Portland, Maine, but notice how hip hop was always welcoming to him. And I came here from out of the New York, Connecticut area, and hip hop was welcoming to me here in Maine. So what we do with hip hop, and I'm sure Kristin will support this, is that hip hop doesn't know color. And you know, a lot of people do cultural appropriations, but notice how he said he was a Stewart or something. And he said culture. He didn't say black. He said culture. And that was a culture of poverty, because hip hop was born from poor blacks, whites, Puerto Ricans, you know, Asian kids. And through hip hop, we didn't have all those divisions. It was about holding down your own town. And even then, we were squashing the violence. So with hip hop, we would rather break dance or battle somebody in a mic or turntable to put them down. So I want to say personally, yes, Kristin has influenced a lot of people, and DJ Dreamscape, aka Ben Shapiro, who's producing all kind of kids out of NYU, Eric Nathan.
Talk about the student eclipsing the teacher. Ben
Ben
ran with it.
ran with it.
Dream State. Yeah.
So now I'm going to pass the camera back and just say, Kristin, thank you so much for being an influence, a positive influence on our kids, and personifying what hip hop is all about. Because hip hop is not about being a thug or a gangster and being an idiot and being ignorant. Hip hop actually says, get an education, find a way when there is no way. When all the odds are against you, hip hop says, we'll make it. That's why we remix things. That's why we dig in the crates. We take the Aretha Franklin and we make it something new. I want to say that, yeah, KRS-One said it right. You are hip hop, brother. And for Hallah Edutainment, we are so blessed to have you as our DJ instructor here in Maine.
And sometimes lawyer.
And sometimes lawyer now. Yeah, and sometimes lawyer now. Yeah. What is that? That's hip hop.
Yeah.
So, in the words of Mos Def, we'll end it by saying, you want to know where hip hop is going? Where are you going? Thank you.